Greetings and welcome to Make It Make Sense. I would like for anyone around the world who believe that there was a man who literally rose from the grave, who was dead and became alive again, literally speaking, and he walked out of a literal tomb. So I'm speaking about the resurrection of Jesus Christ that has been taught all around the world. And if the very Bible, which is actually a book of mind science, if it states that there's nothing new under the sun, and you realize that without the sun there's no life, there's no light, and without the human imagination there isn't anything made that was made, you realize that there's nothing that anyone can tell you that's written in the Bible that wasn't force a thought, force an idea, or force imagine that doesn't come from the mind. So I always teach that the mouth of God is the mind of man, and the mind of man is the mouth of God. Therefore, based on what I would have experienced myself, I know for sure that the resurrection takes place within your body, which is the tomb. And I know the stone that you would roll away and come out of the tomb is your crown chakra. And I'm speaking from experience. And that is what would have enabled me to put a book together called The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. And also I did a lecture on that too. Okay, you can find it on Amazon Prime. I will definitely encourage you to get it and listen it from the start to the finish. And you see, there's a scripture that I will show you in the Bible that proves to you that the virgin birth is a spiritual experience that takes place within. And it is the secret of a man giving birth. You see, in this physical three-dimensional world we live in, most people only know a virgin to be a woman. And people only know giving birth only constitute a woman with a vagina. That's what people know. Okay? So, because most people are one-track minded and most people are not being reminded of their invisible self and the invisible world, which is more real than this world because consciousness is the only reality. They look at everything as literal and as secular history. That is why it will never make sense. Okay? Because you have never seen anyone who have literally come back from the dead after being dead for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. Because, for example, if anyone could come back from the grave after 3 days, after being dead for 3 days, then you should be able to come back from the dead after 7 days too. Okay? But it's not true. It's never been done, literally speaking, and that is why you cannot look at the Bible literally. People have been taking allegory for history and they've been taking personification for persons and they've been reading metaphors and fail to realize it's metaphors. Also, many people have never been taught the esoteric understanding of the Bible or the metaphysical understanding of the Bible, much less to know the psychological understanding of the Bible. So it means most people living their life not even knowing how the mind works and how to really regulate and control their mind. Yet the very Bible states that you must be transformed. And it tells you that the only way you can transform your life is by rearranging your mind. So he used the word renew. So he says that you must not be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That renewing of your mind is rearranging your mindset. So you grew up and you were told a bunch of fables and nonsense, thing that doesn't make sense. And now I come and I'm telling you how to make it make sense based on my experience. So everything I'm saying to you, it doesn't base on intellectual, beliefs, which is fake belief. Okay, and many people are fake knowing, I should say. Many people say, oh, I know. And how did you know? And they never experience it. Okay, for example, there are people who say, oh, that they feel with Holy Spirit and so on, and they never really had an upper room experience because they read it and they believe that some people was in a building, a 2-story or a 3-story building or something like that, and fail to realize this is the 3-story building. Okay, this is the ark with three layers, 3 decks. Okay, your physical your mental or psychological and your spiritual. And you being a triune being, you have to tap in to your entire existence here and understand also the book of mind science, the Bible, from every angle. Okay, from the physical angle, from the psychological angle, and from the spiritual angle. Okay, so because people are being destroyed for a lack of knowledge, they fail to realize that no one on this planet has ever had that kind of experience to prove that it did happen. You see, when we look around at nature, we see that every seed, every species, it must and will always reproduce after its own kind. And these same people who believe that a man rose from the dead and now reside within them in form of spirit, they can't do the same work. They can't turn literal water into wine, yet they believe it is something that was literal. And when they do not understand certain parts, they say, well, that is not literal. Okay, well, if one part isn't literal, it means there's nothing in it that is literal. If one part of it is parable, it means all of it is parabolic. Well, I'm saying to you, all of it is mind science, okay? And it is a book of mind science. And if we look at our bodies and how the body works, and you as a man, you would realize that the soft part between a man thigh, it shrinks. Okay, and it tells you that in Genesis, in the story, Jacob and his dream and so on. Okay, which I wouldn't go into now. Okay, but all of this is showing you that just as the soft part between a man thigh will shrink when he's in the act of creation or creating, okay, and it revives and come back again, and we call it an erection. But that in itself is a resurrection. Okay, and then you born in this world in ignorance and a state of forgetfulness, which is amnesia. Therefore, the time will come when you would awake and realize that this life is a dream, and you will have a birth, and that birth will take place within. Okay, and you will come back to that place of remembrance. Okay, and then you speak the universal language of consciousness, and people all around the world will be able to understand you in the language in which you speak. Okay, and so people cannot put it together, but only when you have the experience you can put it together. So my brother, my sisters, that's the only how it will really make sense to you. Okay, and when it starts to make sense to you and you start to question what was passed down to you, people are going to call you crazy. They're going to say blasphemy, and they're going to say so many different things about you. Okay, but there's no literal man who ever died for 3 days and rose again and walk out of the tomb. This body is the tomb. Okay, that is why you're told that you shall change from mortality, immortality in a twinkling of an eye. It's an opening of an eye when you awake out of the dream. Okay, and that eye been symbolized on the US dollar. Many people, talk about the eye horrors, they talk about the all-seeing eye. They do all of these different things, but when you experience it, it is a difference because it puts you on another level. Your IQ will go to another level. You start to see life from a different perspective, from a different angle. And you see how much people are delusional, how blind they are. You see how much people don't think. You see how the system is set up to keep people so busy they can't think and so on. And things will start to make sense to you, and you start to put things together. And if you are like me, you'll want to help the rest of humanity. Okay, but some people, they want to use the energy in a dark way to control others. Okay, so people use the same power, okay, because there's only one power, okay, and they use dark energy to control people's mind. But I'm here to free your mind. That's what I'm saying to you, that true salvation is self-realization, and your resurrection will take place within your psyche. Okay, for as a man thinketh in the invisible, so shall it be established in the visible three-dimensional world. So I can go on and on and on, but definitely going to come to a close here, and I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you're listening to me and what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encouraging you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share this video. Also, if you'd like to get my books, all the links are down in the description. You have 10 or more books to choose from. And if you like to book a one-on-one with me, drop me an email. If you would like to join my Patreon, you can do so also. And if you would like to donate some books to me, I can send you the link with my Amazon wish list, and you can donate books to me because I want to collect as much book as possible, because I want to be able to help people in my country who are willing to read for themselves and so on. And there's a big difference in holding a book in your hand than listening to an audio book and so on. Okay, so that is one of my life mission, that I really want to accomplish, is to make sure I set up, a library in my country to help people. Okay, the only library you have in my country is for academic education. Okay, and that is something that was done with an agenda to keep the people in ignorance. I want to help people. Okay, that is my whole desire. And I want life to make sense to them and for them to stop live their life in a nonsensical way. So if you're with me and what I'm saying, if it really resonates with you, you can let me know. Okay. So as I come to close here, my last encouragement to you is to make sure you check out all of the links that are down below, and definitely let your intuition lead you and guide you into what to do. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.